The Krillian ambassador had made a grave mistake. In the vast tapestry of the galactic community, humans were considered newcomers, barely a century into their membership among the stars. They were traders, diplomats, explorers, peaceful enough, weak enough. The Krillian hegemony had studied them extensively. Average physical strength, short lifespans, prone to emotional decision-making. They were, in the hegemony's assessment, negligible. Commander Vector had authorized the strike on settlement Theta 7 without hesitation. It was a minor human outpost on the disputed border world of Kalem Prime, home to fewer than 200 colonists. The message needed to be clear. The hegemony would not tolerate human expansion into their claimed territories. The raid was efficient. Krillian shock troopers descended in the early morning hours, their plasma rifles painting the sky with streaks of crimson death. Buildings burned. Colonists fled in terror. Among them was 8-year-old Liana Reese, who had been helping her neighbor tend to the community garden when the first shots rang out. She ran toward her home, her small legs carrying her as fast as they could. She called for her father, but Colonel Dane Reese was off-world, completing a classified mission for the Terran Defense Initiative. Liana never made it to safety. A stray plasma bolt caught her in the back, and she fell among the flowers she had been watering just minutes before. The Krillians withdrew within the hour, satisfied with their demonstration of power. They left behind 43 dead, dozens wounded, and a colony in ruins. Among the casualties reported to military command was one name that would change everything. Liana Reese, aged 8, daughter of Colonel Dane Rice. Colonel Dane Rice received the transmission 3 days later aboard the stealth frigate Phantom's Edge. His hands trembled as he watched the footage, the smoking ruins, the body bags, the final image of his daughter's favorite yellow dress stained with ash and blood. His commanding officer, General Torres, had tried to stop him from viewing the raw files. "Dane, you don't need to see this. We'll handle—" "Who authorized the strike?" Reese's voice was calm. Too calm. The Krillian hegemony. "Commander Vector. He's claiming it was a military necessity that the settlement violated. Where is he?" General Torres hesitated. She had known Dane Reese for 15 years, had watched him become one of the most decorated soldiers in the Terran Defense Initiative. The genetic modifications, the neural enhancements, the combat conditioning, they had transformed him into something beyond human. A super soldier, Project Sentinel's crowning achievement. But she had also watched him become a father. She had seen him soften, seen him choose family over advancement, seen him request transfers to stay closer to his daughter after his wife died. She had hoped that chapter of his life would keep him grounded. Looking into his eyes now, she saw no trace of that man. "Dane, stand down. This is a diplomatic matter now. We're working through official channel, General." He stood, his 2-meter frame filling the small briefing room. "With respect, I didn't ask for advice. Where is Commander Vector?" The Krillian command carrier Sovereign Talon orbited the ice moon of Jotun 4, a neutral zone where the hegemony conducted military exercises, far from prying eyes. It was here that Commander Vector celebrated his successful operation with his senior officers, confident that the humans would file protests, issue condemnations, and ultimately do nothing. Humans were predictable. That way, the first sign that something was wrong came when the carrier's long-range sensors detected an anomaly. Small craft approaching at impossible speeds, executing maneuvers that should have torn any vessel apart. Before Tactical could identify it, the craft penetrated their defensive perimeter and disappeared from sensors entirely. "Full alert," Vector barked. "Deploy hunter squadrons." The lights went out. Emergency illumination flickered to life in the red spectrum, casting everything in hellish shadows. Vector's tactical officer worked frantically at her console. "Sir, we're experiencing cascading system failures. Engineering reports—" She paused, her scaled face going pale. "Sir, someone is inside the ship." Vector felt a cold tendril of fear crawl down his spine. Impossible. "Our shields were—" The scream echoed through the comm system. Then another. Then silence. "Security teams to Deck 7, Vector commanded, drawing his sidearm. Now, but Deck 7 never responded. Neither did Deck 8. Or 9. Vector watched his tactical display with growing horror as security teams went dark one by one, their life signs extinguishing like candles in a storm. Whatever was moving through his ship was doing so with terrifying efficiency, and it was heading directly toward the bridge. "Seal the bridge," Vector ordered. "Divert all power to the doors." The massive blast doors slammed shut, their locking mechanisms engaging with a resounding boom. 4 metric tons of reinforced duralloy now stood between the bridge crew and whatever nightmare stalked the corridors outside. They waited in tense silence, weapons trained on the door. Then the cutting began. A brilliant white line appeared in the center of the door, tracing a perfect circle. Molten metal dripped onto the deck plating, hissing and spitting. In less than 30 seconds, a section of the blast door fell inward with a thunderous crash. Through the smoking aperture stepped Colonel Dane Rice. He was covered in ichor, his black armor scorched and dented but still functional. In his right hand he carried a plasma cutter, its blade still glowing white-hot. In his left he held a Krillian officer's severed head. Vector recognized it immediately, his chief of security. "Your commander, Vector." It wasn't a question. Reese's voice was mechanical, emotionless, filtered through his helmet speakers. "I am." Vector raised his weapon, as did the dozen officers around him. "You are in violation of— You killed my daughter." The bridge fell silent. Vector's mind raced. Daughter? The raid on Theta 7 had been against colonist civilians. Unless— The child, Vector said slowly. "The one in the garden. That was yours?" Her name was Liana. Reese dropped the severed head. It rolled across the deck, coming to rest at Vector's feet. She was 8 years old. She liked flowers. She wanted to be a botanist. "It was an accident," Vector said, though even he heard the weakness in his words. "Collateral damage in a legitimate military— There's nothing legitimate about murdering children. The first officer to fire paid for it with his life." Reese moved with inhuman speed, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to dodge the plasma bolts before they even left the barrel. His return fire was precise, surgical. 1 shot, 1 kill. The bridge descended into chaos. Officers scrambled for cover, firing wildly. Reese moved through them like death incarnate, his movements economical, efficient. Every shot found its mark. Every step brought him closer to Vector. Within 90 seconds, it was over. Bodies lay scattered across the bridge, smoke rising from their wounds. Only Vector remained alive, backed against the captain's chair, his weapon empty. Reese stood before him, close enough that Vector could see his reflection in the super soldier's helmet visor. "Please," Vector whispered. "I have younglings. A mate." "So did I." The shot was clean, quick. More mercy than Vector deserved. Reese stood in the silence of the ruined bridge, surrounded by the dead. His enhanced hearing picked up the sound of approaching reinforcements. More security teams drawn by the firefight. He could take them. He could take the whole ship if he wanted, but it wouldn't bring her back. He activated his emergency beacon. General Torres would track it, would send extraction. There would be consequences for this, he knew. Diplomatic incidents, courts-martial, perhaps even war. But as he holstered his weapon and began the long walk back to his infiltration craft, Colonel Dane Reese found that he didn't care about any of that. He had kept his promise to his daughter. He had made sure the monsters paid, and the galaxy would learn what every human parent knows in their soul. There is no force in the universe more dangerous than a father's love for his child.